offensive coordinator now. I love him as an offensive line coach. You're seeing him as an OC now. Talk about that offensive line. First of all, you lost some key guys, but you've got a pretty solid group. And Gordy now running the show on the offensive side of things. What have you seen from him? And when you have conversations, what kind of conversations go on between you two?
Well, he's very, very, very bright. Very bright.
He's a history guy, right?
Yeah,
we talked about this.
Yeah, he's smart kid. He's a smart man, and he's very creative. And he studies other people, and he's an academic type of guy, which you talk about an offensive line coach. I think people sometimes have the wrong impression of what offensive line coaches are, the gray sweatshirt and the whistle. That's not what offensive line coaches are. That's a very complicated position to coach, and it's obviously a very critical position to coach. And this is a very, very smart guy who understands how to put players in a position to do what they do best. And he also understands how to create conflict for a defense. And, it's what his goal is to, make the defense defend as much field as possible on every play. And he's done a really good job of it. I mean, he's not some meathead offensive line coach, which I don't think there are any. I mean, some of the best coaches I've ever been around in my career, the smartest guys were offensive line coaches,
that's crazy,
and that's Gordy. We've got two returning tackles that are good players in Val Sen and Chase Lund. We had to replace, a great offensive lineman who's probably going to start in the NFL this year, Christian Haynes, which was not easy. But Ben Morawski's been in our system a couple years. He's a monster. He's 6'7", 340 pounds, and he can dunk a basketball. He's like, when they go play, pickup games, he's the point guard. Wait a minute. I'm just telling you.
Really?
Oh yeah, he's got handles. He can
do
play.
it.
Bobby or Danny was over trying to get him to.
Yeah.
No, he
wanted to keep Hurley out of the facility.
No, I want him in the facility. Shoot. So I think we're going to be fine up there. We've got depth. We haven't had a lot of depth since I've been here. We may not have just the Christian Haynes type, but we have depth. I think one thing we're still searching for is just kind of an inspirational, tough leadership type of guy. Like Christian Haynes, like nobody messed with Christian. I wouldn't even. I mean, he just was, he was just stoic type of guy, just a great human being, but, tough as they get. So, I've seen Val and I've seen Chase step into that a little bit, but that's still got to develop. But it's a good group. Center
is such an important position. Yeah. What are you going to do? Do you know what you're doing there yet? I'm looking at the depth chart. I'm guessing.
What's your guess?
I don't know.
Well, you said you're guessing, so you have to have a guess.
Well, I go A or B. I don't know.
You see, you're.
Hold on.
I know. Now you got to look at your depth chart. That's okay. I'll tell you. Let me just tell you.
Bob Joyce stole my notes. Come on,
No,
Bob.
we went and got a transfer from Syracuse named Wes Ho. And
he came from Syracuse.
He came from Syracuse, and he's a good player. He's a really good player.
I thought he wasn't a center. I thought he was.
He is a center. Yeah, he's a center, and he's doing a really nice job. He's smart. To be a center, you got to take charge, and you're in charge of all the protection calls. And Wes has done a really good job, and I'm excited to see him play for us.
And it reminds me of like Bart Oates when I covered the Giants way back when. He was always smarter than everybody.
Yeah, Bart played for my dad in the Philadelphia Stars before he went to the Giants.
Right.
And Bart was always smart. The center has to be smart. I mean, you have to recognize things, and you have to be able to communicate to those other four guys around you and to the quarterback. Like our center, he starts when we're going to run the ball or throw the ball, which I guess is the only two things you can do, right?
Things you can do.
He kind of starts the process.
Defense. You're not the DC anymore. So Matt Brock came from Mississippi State. And he started talking about 3-3-5, and that means 3 down linemen. But you're going to explain it to our crowd here because
I'm going to try.
Try to explain it because you just said to me during the commercial break, he said, I wasn't sure what he was doing when he first came here, trying to explain. And here's a guy that's coaching defense for decades.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
Well, it wasn't that once he got here and once I'd interviewed him, I understood what he was trying to do, but I didn't understand all the complexities of it. I think going into the interview process, I was misinformed because I'd never been exposed to this type of defense. It's just you don't do it in the NFL, and we didn't do it in the Pac-12, and we didn't do it at UConn the first couple of years. But it's a really fun defense to play in. Number one, because it's very aggressive. I mean, we bring it. You're playing with true 3 or three true down linemen, bigger guys, and then you've got like kind of a hybrid defensive end linebacker.
Who's that going to be?
That's guys like Langston Hardy and Donovan Branch and Aaron Key and Kalen Villanueva. So these are guys that are, you know, the 6'3", 6'4", 250 to 255 kind of guys that can pass rush, that can drop a little bit, that have athleticism, that are smart, and they move all over the field. You know, we're not like we don't have like a nose guard all the time, and you know, so it's very multiple. It's kind of like a talent equalizer, because there's a lot of movement up front, and you can cause real problems for offenses that don't see this very often, which not a lot of teams play it, so teams don't see it very often, and it's hard to prepare for in the 3 or 4 days you have between games. So I'm excited about it. I know our players love playing it. Matt Brock is about as intense an individual as I've ever been around. It's rubbing off on our players, and I say that as a compliment. And I just feel like our defense is in good hands. And he's a grinder now, you know, and that's what you've got to be a good coach.
Yeah, and you got Price Yates coming back, and Dalmont Gordine, and Jelani Stafford.
You got a good group.
Yeah.
Good group up front. And
I'm looking forward to that defense.
We added some good pieces on defense.
We'll talk about playing defensive back in a second here. We have a quick break. This is the UConn Football Coaches Show live from iHeartMedia headquarters in Hartford on 97.9 Fox Sports.